My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, but also getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. You can find the link to our playlist in the show notes. Welcome to episode 65. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Buzzy Lee. The musical moniker of Sasha Spielberg released her debut album in January of this year, entitled Spoiled Love. In today's episode, we're talking with Sasha about recording the record with Nicolas Jaar, her love of the Shins, and Sasha's Australian accent. Here we go. Our guest today is a singer-songwriter and actor based in California. After originally releasing an EP in 2018, she's now released her gorgeous debut record, Spoiled Love. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Sasha from Buzzy Lee. Good evening, how are we?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Where are you joining us from this evening?
I'm in New York City.
Beautiful. What's it like there?
You know, it's hot. It's hot and it's a little muggy. No, it's great though. It's really, I hate saying this because it feels very on the nose because I think everyone's saying it, but it's really like alive. And everyone's saying that it's very, this city is alive. And that's what everyone's saying, but it really is. There's such a crazy energy here right now. Oh God, I sound like such a joke.
No. Well, from what all accounts that I've heard and seen is that now that it's kind of opened back up with the vaccine and everything else, is that people are getting out and enjoying the city. Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah, it's really got an energy. But this again, I moved here. I'm still based in LA, but I'm living here. I moved about like 4 months ago. And it's been such a shift because I was in Los Angeles and you really are. And also this pertains to music too, but you're in your car all day.
Yeah.
You're, if you're not driving, you're just sitting. Over quarantine though, I really pushed myself to walk because of course. And, I still walk twice the amount here that I walk in LA. And I remember thinking that my walks were it was like the Odyssey. And where I lived, I felt like I was really on a journey, and then it was like 1.7 miles.
Let's talk about the record. Congratulations on Spoiled Love.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It is a beautiful, beautiful record. I know it has been out for a little while now. It is the debut record from yourself. How has it been received? What's it like being out in the world now?
It's been such a relief, and it's felt very warmly received. I mean, I got such kind messages that really were different because I keep forgetting it's my debut because I've released a couple EPs, and then, I had a band with my brother and we did 2 records, and I don't know, it just feels like it's my 5th record, but I guess it's really, as Buzzy Lee, it is my debut. It was really an amazing moment because I was just at home when it came out, and there was not much to do because we were still under pretty strict lockdown. And I was on my phone all day, but I was I felt that people actually really listened to it. And I think my biggest fear was that it would be a 30-second skip to the next song. This one's boring too. Skip to the next. This one's even worse. I really thought it was going to be that way, but it felt that people really ingested the album in a way that's been so different for the rest of my work. So I just felt really, I don't know, I felt really warm. And I couldn't believe anyone really took the time to listen to it, because I think I'll always have imposter syndrome for the rest of my life. And I really felt that people heard it, and yeah, it was great. And then I had sushi the day it came out. It's great day.
It's definitely one way. Yeah, it's a great way to celebrate.
Yeah.
The record is it is gorgeous. It is a very sparse record as well. I feel that it is one that with not to disparage other music or contemporary music, but I feel like that there's a lot of bands or artists that have a lot going on in music, and they're almost hitting you over the head with it. Whereas I feel like your record, it pulls you in, and you really have to, in the loveliest way, I feel like you make the audience do a little bit of work and come to you, which I feel like is a really good payoff.
Thank you. It's kind of the way I feel like this is the way how I am with my friends. It's a lot of I'm cozy in bed. Do you want to come over?
That's kind of exactly. That's the feeling that it kind of evoked when listening to it, and I really enjoyed that, because it was I had to work a little bit, but the payoff was really good.
Thank you.
As you said, these songs have kind of been not sitting around for a while, but you've been working on this record for a while. I think the album was recorded in 2000. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The record was recorded in 2019, and it was recorded I first got to Nico's, and he was living in Turin at the time, and I had just finished a tour in Paris. It was a European tour, and I took the train to Turin. I visited him, and I was not planning on making my record with him, though it made so much sense, but he is his own artist, and he's on his own timeline, and I had been in sessions with amazing producers, but it wasn't clicking the way, I don't know, it just wasn't clicking. And Nico and I have this really incredible connection as not just collaborators, but friends. And so he can call me out when I am singing a lyric that makes absolutely no sense, because he knows that I can get lazy with my songwriting, and I just will place a lyric I will keep a placeholder. I feel like I'm the master of keeping placeholders and getting attached to them, and even if they make no sense. So he would challenge me a lot, but in a really gentle way. And just I went to his place. I was playing on the piano. He was cooking or something. And I went into a deep reverie, it felt, with the piano. And I think it had been 45 minutes. And then he came in and he was like, dinner's ready. And then he pressed the space bar on his computer to end the recording. So he had been recording me the whole time. Then he played me just a section back. And the way he had mic'd the piano, just the way he can do so little to a song and have it breathe in such a crazy way that I don't understand what he's doing. And I listened back and I said, I have to record my record here with you. And he said, great. That's it. Great. And so I came, we were originally supposed to do it the following January after November. So this was November 2018. We were going to come back and do it January 2019. And then he had his music stuff. So then it kept getting pushed. And then finally it was April. We did the first half, and then I came back in July and did the second half. And then it was mastered in September and it was ready to go. But of course I was, it was then going to come out in March, and then COVID. So it was, but that's why, it felt like such a relief when it came out, because yes, it had been sitting for a while.
I can imagine for yourself having those songs sitting there and kind of not gestating, but having them ready, and it must have been quite an interesting feeling to be sitting on them for so long, and then also when COVID hit, be like, great, another setback. I
know. It felt like it was never going to come out. And I actually, when I was making the record, I said to myself, if this never comes out, I'll be so happy that I even made it. And then I was really challenged. And then I took it back. I was like, what have I done? I've willed this. But no, it was so funny because the record is, lots of songs are about this relationship I was in. And by the end of COVID, he had a baby. So it just so much had happened in his life too, that I had been in 2 relationships since him when the record came out. Actually, when the record came out, I was in my 3rd relationship since him. So yeah, it was weird releasing something that felt like it was really it was a time capsule, but I had to I had to sort of release him through the album. It felt like I was holding on to the last dregs of our relationship.
It's an incredible album, and it does sound not otherworldly, but it does sound like a time capsule in the sense of that it could be from 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Like, the songs are kind of timeless in terms of their arrangement and their
Thank you.
Structure and the way that they're played. The Nico that you referred to is Nicolas Jaar.
Yes, Jaar.
Who is, as you said, an acclaimed artist in his own right, but also worked on a project. I think you're referring to the EPs before, Just Friends.
Oh yeah, I did that with him too. Yeah, but he did my first EP as Buzzy Lee, so the face paint EP.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one as well. So how did you guys, I think you guys went to college together. Is that how the kind of friendship relationship started?
Yeah, we met our first week of freshman year and we started making music together our second week. And
didn't muck about.
No, exactly. Waste no time. I think when you're also a freshman, you're taking on so much. You're like, I'll take this class and this class and this class and make this music and be this person. I think you're figuring it out, but I'm so happy this stuck.
When you first started making music, because I think it was, you mentioned your brother before, you had a band with him in the group Wardell. What was your first memory of making music and starting music and doing all of it, working out that you could be or wanted to be a musician?
Oh gosh, I think that started when I was 4. I just was always singing, and also making my parents film me, which is so disgusting. But I was a monster. I was an egomaniac at 4. I would have them film me and I would perform for them, and I would then start, I wrote, actually, I did this Tiny Desk, and it was one part of the At Home series. And I did it in my childhood bathroom where I would write a bunch of songs a cappella, I might add, and I would listen to music. And the acoustics made me sound like I was on American Idol in my head. So I just rolled with it and wrote a bunch of songs in that bathroom. And then, I took singing lessons I was quite bored. And then I took piano lessons and I was bored. So I really loved, self-starting. Like, I really loved whenever I didn't like instructors. I like to just, do it as, make music as I please. And then I think, God, I was in the musicals in 7th grade, and I kind of continued to be in the plays and musicals because I thought I wanted to act, but really I wanted to sing. I just used acting as a conduit. It was an excuse to sing because I had terrible stage fright. But really this is so cheesy, but my bat mitzvah was my coming out party in terms of singing, because my parents had no idea that I could sing. And I was so focused on getting the Hebrew right that I was just letting my voice carry. And I think it was my best performance. I think it was a great performance, but my parents, I think, were very shocked and they had no idea. And then I think they started taking me more seriously as a 13-year-old, artist. I always, I just had stage fright though. And I think I really wanted to sing like, the pop stars. I wanted to belt. I wanted to be able to belt. I was obsessed with Whitney Houston and Christina Aguilera. And I wanted to sing like they did. I just wanted to do the riffs and runs, and I wanted to belt and not have my voice crack. And I couldn't get there, but what I could do was sing in a falsetto. And that's what I did for my bat mitzvah. But I personally didn't like the sound of that. I was just doing it again to get the Hebrew across. And then later that night, a family friend came up to me and was like, have you heard of Joni Mitchell? And I hadn't, which is embarrassing. But I know I kind of have, but I hadn't.
At that time, I think that's fair.
Yeah. I'm hard on myself. And he got me a Joni Mitchell record. He got me Blue. And it was the first time I had heard someone singing the way I kind of sang naturally. And it took me out of my obsession with belting. And I started actually singing softer. But that all changed when I joined a band with my brother. Then I felt that I had to sing over the band. And so I was back to belting. And then Nico brought out the really intimate, soft. I mean, I feel like I barely sing when I'm with Nico. I feel like he puts me up really close to the microphone and I barely sing on this record.
I feel like that's almost, if you can get the, if you can get the I hate to say the product, but like get the results, I guess, of that from not a lot of effort or from being quite close, that's incredible. Because obviously sometimes, and I do understand what you're saying, when you're a kid, I think full, like being truthful here, when I was like a kid, I wanted to sing like the band Savage Garden. I don't know if you remember the Australian band.
Yes,
Savage
are you
Garden.
kidding? I love Savage Garden.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But then as you get older, obviously you learn different bits and pieces, but it's about finding that, I guess what you do and not what other people do. Yeah.
And by the way, I still struggle with it. I still constantly am comparing and thinking I need to be this way. And this, it never leaves you.
Yeah, no. There's always a little part in your mind that is like, I'd love to do that, but I think you're doing a very good job of being you, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Great, that's great. It's a great compliment.
With the record, there are some beautiful instrumental tracks as well, which I'm curious about. When you kind of sit down to make music, do you usually come up with the melody or arrangement first and then work on lyrics?
Yes, lyrics are always last. I've tried writing lyrics first and then putting a melody to them, but it's really hard. It's really hard for me. I actually find, though, because it does seem like a cop-out, but I do find that sometimes my favorite lyrics are the ones that do come to me through just making sounds through melodies, with my, having words come up when I'm not focused on words. It's like how I wasn't focused on the Hebrew, my voice could carry. And in this, when I write, I am focused on melody, that words just kind of place themselves in the melody. And then I'm only retrospectively, or when I'm listening back, I hear the lyric and then I go, oh my God, it really does, because it is so subconscious always, I find.
Is there anything that kind of jumps out to you when you are songwriting or creating that as inspiration? Like, do you find that you can be off doing other things and have inspiration that way, or is it something that you usually are in the zone and you're creating, and that's when the kind of the best stuff, the good stuff hits?
I think it's, I think what happens is I seek out adventure with the people that I'm, attached to at the time. And I, for this record, I was dating someone who also sought out, he wanted to live in a coastal town that was off the beat. He wanted to live off the grid, and he didn't want to see anyone. He just wanted to make his art. And then he wanted to have like 17 dogs and have old cars, or collect old cars. And he found so much beauty in I the unknown. And I followed him, and I sort of pretended to be this person that I wasn't, because I found him to be I wanted to be exactly like him, because in my mind, I'm so hard on myself. I was in this routine of like getting, drinking matcha in the morning and going to Pilates. And it felt very like it just wasn't, inspiring. So he would take me to these towns that he had discovered while he was touring. And we would go to bars and talk to everyone and say yes to everything. So we'd end up at someone's house who lived off, in the mountains. It was such an adventure. And so I gathered up so much. I was so inspired during that time, but I wasn't writing music. It wasn't until, again, because I'm so nostalgic, I find so much inspiration in nostalgia. So what I will do is I will then take all those memories, and then once I'm in the zone, that's when they come back up.
This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
But I feel like I count it as doing research, sort of, for myself.
No, I can appreciate that. It doesn't have to be. You almost take yourself out of the moment if you're having those adventures and then being like, sorry, let me just quickly write this song about this moment in time.
But that's what he did, though. And I was so in awe of the way he wrote music. He's very talented. And he would have moments like that where he would write down in his little notebook moments. And I feel like I just took pictures and then go back and look.
I think that's also a very good way to do it. And sometimes, with no disrespect to him, sometimes I feel like it's like, I hate people like that, but do you know when there's someone who can do it and you're like, why are you doing this in front of me? Stop.
Shush. It's like the sun makes its way down. And you're just like, can we get dinner? I'm a little hungry. He's like, stop.
It sounds like, a very interesting character.
Yeah, you can listen to every song about him.
I wanted to discuss some of, I guess, your influences as you were like growing up or in music. I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but I've put the Garden State.
How did you know I was going to talk about Garden State?
I try and do my research. I try.
What else do you have behind you?
I know that you also were a big fan of Blonde by Frank Ocean.
I loved Blonde.
And then the other two, look, I did do my research, but I didn't have records for the other ones that I found. So that's on
fine.
me. That's
awesome. Don't worry.
The Shins, Caring is Creepy, you recently covered.
An honor. I was my 13-year-old self, when I was asked to do that, I don't even know. I just wish I could time travel back to the Shins concert at the Fonda Theater in Los Angeles, 2003. I felt so alone and insecure, and I wanted to time travel and tell her that she would soon be covering Caring is Creepy for the Shins, asked by the Shins.
That would have been, or the time travel itself would have been incredible, but obviously that kind of knowledge would have been quite an interesting thing to be able to talk to yourself about. I know that you've said that, to quote the movie, that this song did kind of change your life. Are you able to tell us in what way or how it changed your life?
Oh my gosh. So I had my music trajectory, or my taste in music, had gone from Christina Aguilera to the Velvet Underground to all classic rock. It was only classic rock until my brother started introducing me to indie music. So this is like 2004, and that included the Shins. And I remember, I think the first song he played me was, it wasn't Caring is Creepy. It was must have been New Slang. And I remember thinking the melodies were so topsy-turvy and in a way that I hadn't ever experienced. I found that his voice was actually reminiscent almost. I was obsessed with Led Zeppelin, so it was a nice, it just was a natural, but he had the weird minor notes, and there was just his songwriting style, and also cramming that amount of lyrics into a song. When I was covering Caring is Creepy, I could not believe how many lyrics there were. I had never thought of that because I think it is so cohesive, and the way it really sounded so effortless. And so that was my introduction to live shows and seeing indie bands, and then getting into that. So then I became like kind of an indie follower. I was wearing my American Apparel, which was such a, I was in Los Angeles, and it was kind of this time of Cobra Snake. I don't know if you remember, there was this photographer who went to parties and photographed them. And I always wanted to be on it, but I didn't feel like I was cool enough. But I'd go to these concerts and I see him in the corner of my eye, and I kind of like adjust my hair in hopes that he would think I was like his next muse and so beautiful. And he took a photo, and I went on the website the next Monday. I think he uploaded like Sunday. I went on Monday, and I was like, oh my God, it's my moment. It's my moment. And I go on, and I just see my arm is the only thing that made it in to the photo. But again, back to music, it was this time of going to all ages venues and in following blogs like Captain Obvious and My Old Kentucky blog. And I was such a blog follower that I then got into the indie music scene, which is where so many women, because all I had was classic rock, and that time was done. And then before that I had pop music, and I didn't sing like any pop singer. So indie world and female musicians like Yeah, and just, I was so happy to hear voices that I think, I could one day emulate or have my own voice that was as gritty, or maybe I didn't hit all the notes, but it still evoked something. And then I became obsessed with the way men sang in indie bands. I was obsessed with Julian Casablancas' voice, so I kind of tried to emulate his. And then finally in 9th grade, I discovered Fiona Apple. And then of course that changed, that was jazz infused. Yeah. And so, I
feel like Fiona Apple is like a whole different gateway to a whole different thing, especially when you've come, as you said, classic rock, pop, and then even indie. Indie is fantastic, and then Fiona Apple is this whole other branch way up. I wanted to talk about Garden State and the Shins in the context of the movie as well. I didn't want to make the interview about this. I do want to very quickly mention that, like your background, you've mentioned your father a few times in this. Mm-hmm. He is Steven Spielberg, the film director.
He is?
He is?
I'm just kidding.
Wait, what?
Wait, no. That wasn't on my 23andMe.
This is the worst way to possibly tell someone.
Can you imagine?
They broke it to me through podcast.
Yes, he is, though. Yes.
I imagine that you would have grown up around musical scores, like music in movies. What importance do you think music plays, whether it be like The Shins or I'm trying to think of some other songs off the soundtrack, like Thievery Corporation, or even Death Cab, Iron and Wine, or if it's orchestral scores, what importance do you think they play in film?
Oh my God, you can't have a film without the score. It's impossible. It wouldn't be, I mean, even Jaws, the score actually really comes before. That score is ubiquitously known. If you hear it, it's a punchline. It's it's so canonical in its own form. You cannot have movies. I mean, the scores to me are maybe the most important part. I was so inspired by scores, movie scores. It's all my dad would play in carpool. So he would drive me and my brothers to school, and he would play Guns of Navarone, that opening monologue, into the score. And then he'd play, he showed us Westerns, and he loves Western scores. And I feel like that obviously was infused into Strangetown a bit, because I started writing. Strangetown first began with the piano part, and just like my other instrumental songs, it was going to just be that. Then I just started singing the instrumental, and I feel like I'm so inspired by movements in that way. No, scores are the most important.
I feel that obviously big orchestral scores, and as you said, like stuff like Jaws, that is incredible and it's canonical. The music that like maybe indie music that features in film can also, one, really kind of make a moment hit home, whatever, like if that makes sense, and that it might just make that a little bit closer, a little bit more almost nostalgic in a way.
Definitely. And it's a needle drop moment. Isn't that what they're called? And it's Quentin Tarantino. It's just a lot of directors make such, Scorsese, they make such good use of, oh my gosh, songs, and rather than score, they really take artists and place them. And it's a perfect, how many times have it's now become almost a joke where it's like, this is going to change your life. And then that song comes on and now, it's become because that movie it was so important to me when I was 13. And then you watch it as an adult, and my heart kind of breaks for my 13-year-old self, because it's not the same experience, obviously.
It is not the same when you watch it back as in your 30s. I found that out. Very different.
And they're just like standing. I remember that scene to me being so profound when they're all standing and screaming. And now I can't watch it. No, it's a great movie, by the way. Please let it be known. It's a great movie. It makes me embarrassed for my younger self that I was so profoundly affected by that scene.
Oh, no, I definitely get that. I think that mine was when they're in the pool, when Zach Braff and Natalie Portman are in the pool and talking about it. And at the time, I thought, oh, this is being an adult. And now I watch it, I'm like, that is not, but that's okay. Sasha, as we said earlier, the record was like recorded and planned for a lot earlier. Can we expect a second record sometime soon?
Yes, I'm over halfway done.
Oh, that's very exciting.
So I think hopefully next year in 2022.
That's very exciting. We'll definitely keep an eye on it.
Yeah, because I think I actually tend to move really fast, but when I'm working with other, there is a lot of, it takes more than, I don't know how to produce. I could not sit at a computer and know how to work compression. And, I have a character, Gearhead, who is Australian, that I do on my Instagram.
I was going to touch on this right at the end, but just as a side note, you do an incredible Australian accent.
That is the nicest thing anyone. That honestly means more to me than you saying my album. It's great. Nice.
For a second, I thought it was a recording that you were thinking, like lip syncing to, but no, it is in terms of, it's quite good.
No, I know it's a little more Kiwi. It's like, it's got a Kiwi. It's got a hint of Kiwi. But like, I've also got to practice it a little more before I before I go on the show, because I have to start every time I do Gearhead on Twitch, because I have a show. I have to talk for 30 minutes before, because it's hard to, it's hot. It gets hot. It's hard to slip in and out.
It's the little nuances. It's not, I feel like people go straight to g'day and whatever else. It's just the little nasal sounds, but it's,
Thank you so much.
Honorary Australian right in front of us. Oh my
God, that is the highest honor. Highest.
Lastly, we would usually ask, I guess, what are they currently listening to? If there's a record at the moment that you're loving, or if there's anything that's getting a massive spin.
So a massive spin. So I am, and I'm sure you are too. I feel we are both of this shuffle generation, where I listen to everything on shuffle, and it's because the iPod came out. I mean, shuffle came out when we were probably listening to so much new music, and so I find that my taste is so consistently shuffled, and I can be listening to Ariana Grande one second and then Alice Coltrane the next. And it's very, very shuffled. But I will tell you right now what I'm listening to, because I have to look on my latest playlist, because I don't remember sometimes. See, I'm looking at it now, and it's there are no full records, which is actually quite upsetting. It's just shuffle. It goes from this song called Time by Otis III to Summer by Calvin Harris to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Elton, to Southern Sunset by Brick. And then it goes to 1942, Jeezy. I mean, this is insane. And then it's Hall & Oates and Cool in the Gang, always Cool in the Gang.
It's covering a bit of ground, but then ending it with Cool in the Gang is it's a classic. You have to
end with Cool in the Gang, and I'm sure you can guess which song, because Summer Madness, because we were in summer. It is, but I do love being part of this shuffle generation. It is great. I get so much from it, and I have no shame. But in terms of actual full albums, oh my gosh, am I not contributing to the music industry in a way that I should be? Do I not listen to albums? No, of course I do. I'll have a think on that, because I've got to really look.
That's very fair. Just to touch on what you said, I think this shuffle generation thing has definitely made us appreciate more, more genres, if that makes sense. I feel like there's less just R&B people or just indie people. I feel like that more and more, as you said, going from Coltrane to Ariana Grande, Hall & Oates to Joni Mitchell, but that's good. You get to take in a bit of everything.
Yeah, it is. But then I find, this is why I was so worried about my record, because it's a real sit down and focus record. And I think part of the problem with shuffled stuff is that I get so distracted, and I need to go to the next, because I know there's so many. I actually was talking about this with someone. I noticed that when I'm listening to a playlist and I'll listen to 30 seconds of a song, I'll be really excited, and then I'll need to go to the next. But if that same song comes up on the radio, I'll listen all the way through. And I don't know if you have a similar, I think when songs happen to come up on the radio, and even if it's a song that I've heard so many times and that normally I'd skip over, there's something about it being fed to you rather than you having curated something. And that's why also COVID, there was, I wasn't in my car much, so there was no radio, and it was just shuffle. So I really got to know my library. But there is something to be said about having music fed to you rather than, I keep wanting to say swipe. Oh God. I was going to say swiping through. No, I was shuffling through playlists that you've already made.
Do you think it's almost like we've been talking about Garden State, how she's oh my God, I can't remember Natalie Portman's character. I feel terrible.
When she's like, what's her name? Her name is, you're in it, aren't you? You know, when she does that, you're in it. What is her name?
Is it Sam?
Sam, that's it.
Sam.
Genius.
When she does say, like, this band is going to change your life, do you think it's that thing of someone, like, if you come across it and you're curating it, and you've got the power to be like, no, skip. But if someone instructs you or someone forces you to play it, it's that kind of thing that you're like, okay, I'll give it my full attention.
Such a good. It's funny. That's so true. I also find that if someone's kind of more forcing, like, I'll notice my mom loves music and new music, and she will send me so much music and ask me throughout the day if I've listened. And to be honest, I never listen because it's almost being forced onto me. So the radio feels like a gentle nudge, whereas my mom feels full force, throw you down a mountain. Just go. This is a black diamond. You don't ski. Go. But the radio is much more, the radio is gentler. And so yes and no. But yes, I do think that's really true.
I feel like the radio, you've built a relationship with the radio where they're a friend, whereas parents, you're always, there's like a weird inbuilt thing that you're always going to somewhat push back on what parents, it's just a parent thing, I believe.
Because again, I talk about my dad playing film scores. What a great in retrospect, amazing. Love those film scores. In actuality, at the time, I'm 9 years old and all my friends are listening to Britney and my dad's rolling up with like a monologue. I used to have him drop me off at the corner. So I feel very bad, but I now appreciate it.
I'm sure that if anything, he can just claim that was at the time influencing Buzzy. So it's all like a canonical
He would
kind
love
of thing.
that.
Sasha, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. Thank you. Have such a good day.
Thank you again. Congrats on the album.
I won't stop.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Sasha for her time. Spoiled Love is out now, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to buy a copy of the vinyl. We also want to give a huge shout out to Katie and Harry at Future Classic for helping out with today's interview. You can find a link to our Spotify playlist in the show notes, where you'll be able to listen to all of our guests' picks. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Thursday and Friday morning, with guest playlists streaming on Spotify at the same time. You can follow the playlist profile on Spotify. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.
Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. That's what you'll feel with Boll & Branch's best-selling signature sheets in 100% organic cotton. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Boll & Branch sheets get softer with every wash. Start getting your best night's sleep in sheets that get softer and softer for years to come. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee. Plus, get 15% off your first order at bollandbranch.com, code BUTTERY. Exclusions apply. See site for details.